Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here on this daily live stream pop up with you guys. So, today I'm going to talk to you about the six human needs. You may have seen me post lately on those, and it is the foundation for really all of your personal success, business success, career success. It's all intertwined with understanding your needs, how to use them, and how to meet them in a creative and resourceful state. So hang with me. I promise if you do, you're going to get some really profound insight and wisdom that you can use in your daily life, even start using it today to really help you get to the next level. So, to start with, guys, strategic communication is really the essence of everything that we do in life. But it starts with the communication that we have between ourselves and God, with ourself, the communication that we have with ourselves, and then, of course, how we communicate strategically to everyone else around us. And embedded in how we communicate is going to tell us a lot on our six human needs. So, what are the six human needs? Pretty simple. First one is certainty. This is straightforward. This is where you're getting your next paycheck, a roof over your head, having the certainty that you're going to be safe and satiated. The next human need is actually directly opposite, uncertainty or variety. We're not robots. We get bored of the same thing day in and day out. So we need a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of risk, some variety in our life as well. The third one is significance. This is probably where our society right now has overcompensated on significance. So, significance alone isn't good or bad. It is a need, and we need to meet that need. And it's the need of needing to feel important in feel important to ourselves, feel important in our roles, feel important in life in general. The fourth need is love and connection. That again is very, very straightforward. Love and connection is the need for a sense of belonging, a sense of love. It can or can't be romantic love. Not everyone has romantic love, but most of the time, I would say that the need for love and connection is expressed in our American society as a romantic love, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can just be a deep connection in community, a sense of belonging, right? So those first four needs are what are known as our essential needs. We have to meet those needs in order to survive. The next two needs are extremely, extremely important, and they are growth. So that's like self-development, continuing to grow. If what stops growing is in a state of decline and is therefore dying, and then contribution, having a mission, leaving a mark, doing something for the world that's bigger than just yourself. Now, these last two needs are what are known as the spiritual needs. Not everyone in the world gets the opportunity to express and fulfill these needs, but in order to have a sense of fulfillment and deep joy, you have to fulfill the needs of growth and contribution. So, those are the six human needs in a nutshell. Now, what's super interesting about this framework is the needs themselves are universal, right? So, I'm not going to say that we are not all the same. We are unique individuals. However, our biology is a shared biology. We all bleed blood, we all bleed red, and our nervous system is the same across the board as well. And so these six human needs are universal. However, what is not universal and what makes each individual uniquely them is the way that they prioritize these needs. Or another word for that is which needs they value the most, their own personal hierarchy of their needs, and how much value they place on each need within that hierarchy. So let me give you an example. Someone whose top need, if their number one need is for love and connection, they are going to live a very, very different life than someone whose top need is for significance. They're gonna their belief system, their actions, their daily habits, they're gonna look night and day because one person values love and connection where the other person values significance number one, right? So someone who values love and connection number one probably going to be a little bit more agreeable, maybe might be known as a peacemaker, whereas someone who values significance the most, they're probably going to be more disagreeable. They're probably not going to be known as the peacemaker in their relationships, right? Because they need to feel significant, whereas the other person is just looking for that sense of belonging, that sense of connection uh, with others and with themselves, right? So the other very interesting aspect in how these needs play together is you're already seeing how one need can be held in tension of or oppose another need. So, for example, my top two needs are contribution and growth. However, growth is more focused on the self development. And my need to contribute is more focused on leaving a mark on something bigger than myself. And so I'll go through these states of what are known as inner conflict, right? Where inwardly I can't, or it's more difficult for me to get in congruence, to be in integrity of my own values, to meet my own needs, because a part of me wants to focus on my own personal self development to fulfill that need of growth, whereas another part of me wants to do something to contribute to others to fulfill that need for contribution, right? And so there's some opposition there. And so the whole point is, how do we align our values? How do we align our actions and our daily habits to be in congruence, so that we don't suffer those inner conflicts? Inner conflicts are really the number one cause of suffering in our life. If we can remove inner conflicts within ourselves, that opens the door for ultimate joy, ultimate abundance, ultimate happiness, because it's really not the external that affects your inward happiness. If you're totally congruent and you're totally aligned internally, you are going to naturally be filled with energy and be happy and be healthier, right? So one of the ways that for like me, my personal needs assessment, my personality type of contribution and growth is, okay, well, I can contribute to something greater by growing myself, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, right? So I'm learning so much every time I have one of these live streams. And even a better example is every time I get on the phone with someone as a prospect, or I'm talking to one of my clients, I'm learning too, which means that I'm developing as a person while I'm contributing, and I'm fulfilling those two needs at the same time, plus love and connection, plus a sense of significance. Plus, I know the strategies and tactics I use bring a sense of certainty to the situation. So I'm fulfilling my need for certainty. And then, as well as every time I have a different conversation or I get on a live stream, there's so many variables. It also offers me a chance to experience some uncertainty. I could totally go off track or stutter over some words. I'm taking a risk, right? So that puts a little bit of uncertainty into what I'm doing as well. And so through something like this, for me, this is I'm using me as an example, fulfills all six of my human needs in total congruence, in total alignment of my belief systems and my values and my needs. Now, the reason I bring that up is because any action that fulfills three or more needs is an addiction, which gets me into the next set of how and why it's important to fulfill these needs in a creative and resourceful state. So to keep the onus back on me, right? I've struggled with my weight. You can see probably I've gained some weight. I got to drop 25, 30 pounds pretty quickly. Um, and I was doing some morning reflection in my own meditation this morning, trying to just understand better. Hey, how did I was doing so well with my weight and really thought I'd made some major breakthroughs. What happened? And there's a whole onslaught of things. But one of the things that happened was when I quit smoking cigarettes, I told myself and it was good. I gave myself grace. I said, okay, for the next week, I know I'm going to be suffering these withdrawals from nicotine. I'm going to allow myself to eat whatever I want. Now, I didn't gain all the weight during that period, but it gives you an idea of, to sacrifice one thing for the better, I needed to give my grace to myself in a different area, right? And why I bring that up is because when you think of food, when you think of cigarettes, when you think of hard drugs, right? They are fulfilling at least three needs of that person. So Let's use a cigarette for an example. Well, when I used to smoke a cigarette or puff a vape, actually, more recently was the vaping. Was it would give me it would fulfill my need for certainty. I felt stressed. I needed to change my state. I was certain that by puffing on that nicotine, I was certain that I could get a state change, a state of a change in my state of consciousness. Right. So there's your certainty. Um, there was a time period, I actually wrote about it in my book, right? If you've read Resonate, I talked about how I met one of my best friends and most valued mentors was by smoking cigarettes. So I'd say it's less this way post COVID, but there was a time period where smoking cigarettes would give you a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. When I used to work in an office building and I'd go smoke, it gave me a 5 or 10 minute break, not only to reset, but I could go belong somewhere with the other fellow smokers and strike up conversation and get that sense of love and connection. I'll also say that even outside of a social setting, when you step outside or you put something down and you're puffing on the nicotine, you're I'm not saying it's good for you, but you're breathing in more deeply. So that's what's giving you that's what's helping to give you that state change. And you can also feel a sense of connection with oneself in that moment as well. So it was fulfilling that need of love and connection. It was giving me a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of variety. I was getting tired or bored or stressed in what I was doing. So step away, have a cigarette, puff the vape, whatever the case may be. Now I'm adding some variety or uncertainty into my day, into that routine. So that is the third need. And then the fourth need is actually not so much later in life, but when I started smoking cigarettes, I was in grad school. I thought it made me look cool and it gave me a sense of significance as well. Right. And so that is a great example of how we can meet three or more needs with an unhealthy habit. And that's why it's so important that we don't judge these habits or these actions or these behaviors, because those behaviors are just symptoms of someone trying to meet their needs where they are meeting their needs in a form that is destroying their body, whether than creatively encouraging or uplifting others and their body and their life. So if we take that example of smoking the cigarettes and how it meets three or four different needs and easily becomes an addiction, and we were to change it to going to the gym, right? If you go to the gym, you're going to get some certainty. It might take a few weeks of going to the gym to feel that certainty if you're brand new, but you're going to get some certainty. You're going to have some time that is certain for yourself. As you start getting results, you're going to have certainty that, hey, if I do these things in the gym, if I lift these weights, or if I run these miles, or I bike these miles, or I swim these laps, I'm certain I'm going to get some type of result, right? There's some variety. Every time you go to the gym, it might be different. You might talk to new people, which talking to new people at the gym, loving connection. So you can see how going to the gym is a really good way to replace that habit of, say, smoking cigarettes, because you're going to meet all those same needs, but now you're meeting them in a creative way where you're creating your body, where you're doing it through a healthy action, through a healthy habit, right? And so it's very important to understand these needs and how they influence our behaviors, right? Because we all operate in patterns at this point in our lives. If you're older than 15, 16 years old, you've developed habit patterns in your life. And so now knowing these needs, and if you take my free needs assessment, I'm going to give you a personalized blueprint where you can now start looking at your own behavior patterns, right? And you can identify these patterns where, hey, I'm meeting these needs. I didn't know why I used to do that. Like some people would be like, well, I know smoking cigarettes is bad for me. I don't know why I can't stop. If I know it's bad for me, why can't I stop? Well, it's because it's fulfilling all these needs. So what we have to do is we have to identify the pattern, disrupt the pattern, replace that pattern with a healthier habit. So now instead of going and smoking a cigarette. Now, you probably can't go get a full blown workout in the time of do a cigarette, but instead of smoking a cigarette, what you're going to do is you're going to walk outside and take the dog on a walk around the block for 5 or 10 minutes, right? And that's going to fulfill all those same needs as smoking that cigarette. And now you've replaced that unhealthy habit with a healthy habit. Now, on top of that, we need to get into repetition and affirmation, because a lot of times there's some limiting beliefs that are also causing some of these behaviors, and those patterns of those limiting beliefs get ingrained in our head. And so we have to repeat this new pattern over and over and over again and affirm it to ourselves, and then maintain and keep doing that, repeating that cycle on all of our behavior patterns. And that's going to help us get to the root issues. The whole idea here is to be able to step into any role that you play in your life, right? So one of the things that I see predominantly in all my needs assessments and in everyone I work with who are entrepreneurs and from people in the networking groups I'm in is we have a very, very high threshold, high desire for uncertainty, and certainty is almost always very last on our needs list. We don't need a lot of certainty. However, I bet our wives or our spouses do appreciate that certainty. So the 6 human needs works great in relationships, and my wife just did hers, and we're actually polar opposites, which is a great thing because we complement each other. Where I don't need any certainty, my wife needs a lot of certainty. So when it comes like business ownership or your finances or your career, for example, when I do my monthly budgeting, I actually take a deep breath now, and I'm going to guide you through this exercise because this is the whole idea of understanding your human needs and getting the best out of yourself using them. Is I take a couple deep breaths and I close my eyes and I meditate for a minute, and I might even speak out loud like an affirmation, like I am going to do my budget with absolute certainty. And I'm basically affirming to myself that as I step into this, it only takes me 30 minutes now once a week. But as I head into that 30-minute block, my number one need, my number one goal, my number one outcome is certainty. Even though in every other place of my life, certainty typically is on the lower end, I am consciously raising my need for certainty in that arena of my life so that not just for me, but my wife is happier and my quality of life is more certain and sure because now I have certainty over my finances rather than just running blind and being like I was a year and a half ago and having all these Amazon boxes show up at my house every day. And like I don't know why I can't stop spending money. I just it's retail therapy. It's impulsive, it's blah blah blah. It's because I'm subconsciously just operating on my normal pattern rather than consciously lifting the need that I desire to get the outcome I desire to that specific place. So, guys, I hope that helped you. I think by now you can see how understanding these needs is truly helpful in every area of your life. For at least a limited time, I don't know how long, as long as I can, I'll say it like this, as long as I can, until I get inundated with requests, I'm actually giving free needs assessment. It's a type form quiz, super easy. It seems long, but guys, it only takes 5 minutes because the whole idea is to go through this thing as quickly as possible. First gut reaction takes only 5 minutes. You fill out that type form quiz for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, I'm going to score it, and I'm going to put it in a personalized roadmap for you, where it's going to show you your own needs hierarchy and give you some practical tips and strategies on how to apply these in whatever place in your life to find your blocks and overcome them. If you'd like to take that needs assessment, just like or drop a comment on this post and I'll DM you with the information. Thanks so much. Wish you all the best. Have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you next time.